the path is not straight. It is not straight. But for everybody that is chosen for great things, for success, the path never is. And it's something that we unknowingly subscribe to.
Today, I have a very special guest. He's also a friend, Arthur Evans, who is a TV show personality. He acts in Joseph, in award-winning plays, and also just really a businessman, second generation, maybe third generation. Second generation businessman. So I think what fascinated me about you when we first met is you held Bulawayo, the city that we're in today, the city that you live in, the city you're raising your daughter in. You held it in such high regard, almost like there was, in your words, we're at a pivotal point. We're at a unique moment in time. Before we get to that, tell me why you're still here, because you've got opportunities around the world. You don't even have to tell me that. I can see that on you. You're raising a daughter here who's incredible. Why are you still here in the city Bulawayo?
Bulawayo is a very special place. I've had opportunities to leave, and it is not primarily by my design that I am here. Many years ago, I actually wanted to leave the country, like many people. I didn't really see a future, and I really tried to leave the country. I was pretty good at soccer. Played sports my whole life, and I had an opportunity to play soccer overseas, and all I needed to do was basically show up, show that I could kick a ball, that I had adequate skill, that I had the pace that was mentioned on my profile. And 2 weeks before I was meant to leave, I was playing a divisional match in Nguenja. It's very close to Barberfield Stadium, and I tore my meniscus. I didn't know that game. I'd never had an injury like that before, and I just thought I'd run it off. Anyway, I went overseas, went for the trials. I only lasted 5 minutes. I came back. I was very angry with God, and I came back to a place that mentally I had separated myself from. I had accepted the fact that I'm going to leave. But in leaving, I also knew that I was going to leave and come back and do something great. So when that happened, I didn't understand why God would give me such a great dream of becoming a football player, doing great things, building my mother a house. That's one of the things I really wanted to do.
Yeah, and the open door to do it.
And I just couldn't reconcile it. And it did take me time. And in retrospect, I realized that many a time we call it the city of kings and queens, but so many people, and I'm guilty as well, during that period, I didn't see the royalty in the city. I didn't see the wealth. I didn't see the potential in the city. And I'm at a place where I'm worried that many people are where I was, where they think the best solution is to go Egoli, Mzansi, South Africa. And it is not the only option. There's so much that can happen here, and we are so close. This is why I said it to you, Tommy. We are so close, not only on a spiritual level, but literally practically. The dots are all there. And it's almost as if, like when Daniel prayed and his prayer was withheld, it's almost as if something is holding back. And I think collectively, if the city comes together from every sector, we could really make something special there. And I believe we will. I believe that what you're doing is probably going to be the spark of very important conversations around it. So yes, I have a very soft spot for my city. I believe that even the people in the city don't actually fully understand how many treasures we have. Talking about soccer, when you see a great soccer player, when you interview a great soccer player, even now on the show, maybe you put down there businessman,
You know,
TV host,
soccer star.
yeah, there's a whole lower third that the directors put down there, and it's just a highlight of everything. But when you put Bulawayo's highlight, it is impressive. It is impressive. From history to the type of people. Victoria Falls has 3 major attractions. We can count up to 15 things that are mind-blowing just in the city and in the region. So,
and I think that's what drew me to you, because when we first met, we were already talking about how do we bring the city and tell a story that's different than just what maybe politics or what economics or even just some of the social pitfalls are telling, because every city tells a story, like no matter what. But in this season, you said something, and I don't want to quote you on it, but we get to choose our story.
yes.
This is this time where we actually get to choose that story.
Yes.
So I want to come back to that, but you talked about a dream being shattered and staying here without not it being your first choice. What did the brokenness feel like? And then how did that shift? Do you remember what got you to shift from broken to vision?
Yeah, look, number one, it didn't happen overnight. And
because there's a lot of people out there that are going, hey, I relate to your brokenness. I want to relate to the new story. So
coming back to Zim was a tearful moment. I went back to my room and I cried and I was like, God, why? Why? What have I done wrong? Why would you do this? Why would you do this to my family? At the core of it, I had no ill intentions. So why? And it's something I battled with. And I got to the point where I had to ask myself, what am I going to do now? My best friend, John Muzanya at the time, he used to tell me a story all the time when we'd sit down and talk, and there's a few things that we'd always go back to, and he'd always talk about the 4 leprous men. And I said, why sit me here and die? I don't have to leave Bulawayo. What can I do here with what I have? And I reorientated, and if I could get the whole city in front of me, I would tell them one thing. Everything that's been said, every negative thing that's been said has got to change. It's got to change. I'll even say something that a lot of people may not like, and I said this to you as well. We maybe need to rethink the name of the city. Yes, we honor it. Yes, we honor the blood that was shed, the place of killing. But are we speaking into visions and saying that visions are also coming to die? We have a hospital called Impilo, and Impilo means life. What life are we speaking? And I had to reorientate my thoughts and literally swim against the current of my own mind and the current of what's here. There's a Japanese proverb that says, even a small stone ripples a great lake. And I said, what can I do that would be, even if it's a small stone, what can I throw into this great lake of Zimbabwe? And we all can. Don't despise the days of humble beginnings. When you become significant in your sphere of influence, you can actually influence other people. People can look at you, pick up an example in Bulawayo, in Gweru, in Akwekwe, by the life that you live, by the example. So for me, it was very, very difficult to get to that point. It was very, very difficult, Tommy. And it's a place that I wouldn't want to go back anytime soon, because there's no hope. There's no hope. You look at everybody else leaving the country. All my friends had left. They started university. I didn't go to university. Everything seemed to be moving for everyone else except for me.
Did you ever have to break through like a new identity? What I mean by that is so much of us are identified by what happens to us versus what God says about us. Did you ever have to wrestle through this? I'm left behind. I'm maybe forgotten. I had it worse than my friends, and then having that new identity with what actually God says about you. And if so, describe that process.
So that process is probably going to sound very similar to, in my opinion, what a lot of young people are going through at the present moment in time. And first you wrestle, then you adapt, then you camouflage yourself in an image that isn't really you. And I joke and I say that Bulawayo is it's like Joburg North. We're just an extension of Joburg. We're just an extension of South Africa, because the culture, the urban culture is very, very similar. And so people take on attributes of personalities from South Africa. And I did exactly that. When I was kind of done weeping and struggling, I said, well, do you know what? I'm going to take on a certain persona, because I was in media, I was hosting events, and I thought, I need to take this type of persona on. And when I did a litmus test, I said, well, I'm not an extrovert, so I'm going to stop at dressing well. That's where I'm going to draw the line. But we continually mask ourselves with alternative identities. Yet I think we should actually really just bottle down and say, this is who we are. We're a good city. This is what we do. In other words, what are our standards? And for me, that was the thing that really shifted for me a couple of years after. I can't really call it a rejection, but after the injury, I asked myself, what do I want to be remembered for? And it goes back to a conversation I had with my sister. I said, I want to be remembered as an Evans that did A, B, C, and D. And that's an identity with standards in it. And as a person, we don't have to be a Johannesburg. We don't have to be a South Africa. We just need to be a Bulawayo. We've got incredible standards. We forget some of the things. For example, we have litter in our city center. We were once the cleanest city in sub-Saharan Africa. And all it takes is for people to be proud of themselves, proud of the city, and say, I'm not going to throw a piece of paper down here. I'm going to go to a designated drop point. Let's not complain about the city council. Let's just decide we drop our litter here. That's what we do, because we have clean streets. We can be different from everyone else. If Victoria Falls can do it, why can't we? If we're the city of kings and queens, why are our school kids walking around with their shirts untucked? Why? They're children of royalty, from a royal city. We've got to lift our heads up,
I like what you said about royalty, where there's a title, City of Kings. But if we forget our royalty, and that royalty goes beyond just kings, it actually connects to the king. And I think to forget that invites all sorts of insecurity, because you're fighting a battle that is comparison based, not identity based. And at the same time, we're hearing, like, I met you, and I was like, I didn't know someone like you existed in Bulawayo. And then I've been meeting other people that are coming out of that. It's like, whoa, you're here? Have you told your story? No, I haven't told my story. Man, you just saw this success. Have you told that story? No, I haven't told that story. And I'm saying, when you start pulling stuff back, there's actually a lot of incredible things happening. Where have you been surprised with some of the things that is going right? Where have you been surprised by maybe someone on the street that shows kindness, or where you're like, wow, actually, this is kind of remarkable?
So in my life, I have experienced some very interesting people. And one thing I love about Bulawayo is that I've had fewer experiences here that I'm about to talk about than anywhere else. In fact, it hardly happens. Excuse me. In Bulawayo, I'm a light-skinned guy with cruise hair, dark brown eyes, with a white surname, and an interesting accent, to say the least. And I've realized that, like, with racism, people think racism comes from white people. It doesn't come from white people. We can be racist to one another, in any way, shape, or form. And in Bulawayo, the one thing that you always find is a warm welcome. People want to know you first. And it's a shame that in a city where people are so willing to accept you and know you, we are not accepting, we're not really clinging on to the true identity, that royalty that we should be. And we've sort of come to a point where we think we are maybe a second-tier city. We're not that important. We're not significant. That we need other people. We need other cities. We need other voices to speak to us to make something happen. And so I'm amazed all the time, every single time, from the security guards at Zonkizizwe shopping complex that greet me and, we talk soccer in passing, to senior management in organizations here that are absolutely friendly, so welcoming, to a school child that if you stop them, and you speak to them, they'll help you. It's something that for me, I know that Bulawayo can be home to anyone. They might tease you, because, here we like to tease people. We got a good sense of humor. We might tease you and say, no, it's Bulawayo, not Bulawayo. We'll tease you.
In the time.
We'll tease you.
Yeah.
But our hearts are in the right place. And despite all the difficulties, despite everything we've been through, it's the hearts of the people here that are just so warm and so open.
I had an experience similar to you with being surprised by people in unlucky places. And we were going to someone in the city who works in government, just talking about, like, imagine we told all the hope stories that were happening in this region from personalities, old, young, diverse backgrounds. And it was crazy because she was holding the tears back. And I was trying to get approval for something. She's holding tears back. She brings out a Bible. She just places it on the table. This is in government. And she's like, I've got a whole group of people praying for this. And she's like, this is what we've been praying for. So we're here. We're behind you. And I just was like, how special is this city? And if you were to tell young people who are struggling with, say, fear or doubt, maybe similar position to you with that brokenness, what would you say to them to say, hey, there is a hope, there is a vision? How would you put that in a way that they feel like they're going to hold on to it and drive through to a place that you are?
In the world that we live in today, Tommy, people measure success by, your wealth, what you can achieve. But the true identity of anybody that's from Bulawayo is your heart, how genuine you actually are. And so I have no problems with a young person that is scared and maybe says they want to go out of the country. But I'll have a problem if they say, I want to relocate and never look back. And I think as long as our hearts are in the right place, and as Bulawayo people, as long as our hearts stay here, I would be happy for a young person to be exposed and to come back and sow back into the city. The path is not straight. It is not straight. But for everybody that is chosen for great things, for success, the path never is. And it's something that we unknowingly subscribe to. We are kings. We are queens from the city. And the minute you take up that position, you'll always have opposition. And it means that you've got to be strong. And that strength has to come from a divine place. You cannot bear it alone. And so any young person, whatever steps you take, do it from a good heart, not a greedy heart, not a resentful heart that nothing ever happened yet. No, don't do it out of a place of darkness, but do it from a place where you're saying, no matter what, I'm going to succeed because I am a king, because I am a queen. And when I make it, the last thing I'll say is, remember where you came from. If we all came together over the last 20 years, everybody that's left the city, if we came back and just started sowing our seeds financially, through prayer, we could change Bulawayo in a very short space of time.
And you believe that?
100%. So much so, Tommy. I'm telling you now, I cannot specifically tell you how it's going to happen. I cannot specifically tell you when it's going to happen, apart from that it's going to be soon. But this place is going to explode on so many levels, in so many sectors. People will look, as I said, people will measure success by the things achieved. They're going to look at economic growth. You're going to see this place change. And it could start with just something simple. Just that mind shift, litter. It's one of the biggest challenges, litter. Designated places. Just to bring that pride back. Buildings will be maintained. There's something in the air, Tommy. There's just something. I believe it 100%.
And you feel it when you talk in certain pockets to people, because many people say the same thing as you too. And
really,
yeah, a lot of people on this conversations that we're speaking with, they're saying the same thing. And I think it's going to spread. If you were to say, wave the proverbial magic wand and say, if I could just have this happen, what would that be? And then the second follow-up to that question is, what could the city actually look like? If you were just to dream and say, this city could look like, well, fill in the blank. So I know those are two questions.
Yeah. I would take my wand out, and I would go to school heads and tell them to tell the right story of Bulawayo, so that our children grow up with the correct North Star, with the correct impression of the city and how great it is and how great it's going to be. When we go down to the grassroots, to our kids, and we teach them the right things, we will start reaping the fruits of what we have sown. Teach a child in the way of the Lord. Teach them the right way, and they won't depart from it. I guarantee you. And so even in my life, I was raised as a Christian. I went far left at some point in time. But even in doing that, I always thought of my true north, my true character. And so we've got to start doing that. And then the Bulawayo of the future. I think it's a happy place, Tony.
It's a happy place.
Yeah. I think it's a happy place. I think it's completely different. I think when you greet people, when I used to greet people, they'll always tell you, like things are so bad. And you could see the weight. You can see the weight of life on people's shoulders. But it's nothing tangible, Tommy. I think it's a happy place. It's a place where we greet each other with excitement, where there's hope, where we walk into buildings and the service is just different, not because of a service standard, but because we generally just have our own way of doing things in the city. Yeah.
Happy place.
Happy place.
I think many people can get behind that. Because you straddle generations, I know that you've got audiences that are young. Young generation looks up to you. But then you also have sort of clout and influence in the older generation. What would you say What would you say the best way is to merge these generations, to close the gap so that there's unity multi-generationally? Or is there even need for that to happen?
There is need. There is need. I think a common flaw in modern society is the distance between the older generation and the younger generation. And literally, a parent at home to the child at home, work schedules, the transit times. There's less time being spent with our kids at home. And so we've got people that are busy, and we've got children a lot of times that aren't mentored. And so I strongly feel that we need deliberate mentorship programs to be set up, and specific mentorship programs, whether it's 6 months, whether it's a year. But if we could have free mentorship programs where the leaders in the city avail themselves, if we could avail the city hall or a church hall, and just every month just have sessions where across the city, leaders are talking about the same thing every single last Friday of the month, and we're grooming. I think that's how we need to bridge it. We can send people to school, but remember, our greatest asset as a city, it's our hearts, it's our characters. And if we can nurture the hearts of our young men and women through the hearts and the lives of the older generation, I think that would be the greatest thing that we could do. Imagine a united city where you've got bridges across those generations. That I think that would be good. I really do think that would be good.
I think so too. And when you think of your daughter, because you talked about fathers raising kids and mothers raising kids, and that generational gap of spending time with people, when you think of your daughter and you look her in the eyes today, and she's growing up in the city, and you know all the good, the bad, the ugly, you can see the challenges in front. Like you said, it's not a straight path. It's not just smooth sailing. What is your encouragement to her, and why she's growing up in a place that's significant and unique? And I got you.
I tell her that this is the best place to be. It is the best place. I know that she wants to explore the world, and she wants to see as much as possible, and I'm not going to stand against her. But she is a Zimbabwean that was born in Bulawayo, that's being raised in Bulawayo, and I want her to hopefully, because it's never a straight path,
Yeah.
But everything that I've said, it's her heart. It's the primary point, so that wherever she goes in the world at some point in time, before she comes back, that people describe her as a good person from Bulawayo. That's the most important thing, her heart. And yeah, she'll come back. I'll force her to come back. I'll make sure she comes back.
No, we'll just arrange a marriage, so she has to come back.
Yeah, let's.
But you know what? You said something that I think it's challenging me, and I think it's probably a challenge to every parent. It may be in Zimbabwe, maybe in Southern Africa, which is, this is the best place to be. And if we could all have that narrative, think of what a generation grows up feeling. I belong. I'm proud. I have something to give. I have something to contribute, and not to take away enthusiasm.
You know what? So we all have best friends. We all have different types of relationships, and in those relationships, not everybody is perfect. But if I were to ask you, who's your best friend? What do you like about them? What are the things that irritate you about them? You could list them.
There's a list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But look at the smile that's coming onto your face right now, because you're thinking about that spectrum of that person. You're like, but you know what? That's my boy.
But I still got, yeah.
And we need to dumb it down a little bit. with our city, our country, and be like, yeah, yes, things are also not working out in certain areas, but that's my city. That is my city, you know, and just lighten the load. You know, when my sister came down for the first time after almost a decade, she couldn't handle how people were just like crossing the road randomly. It's like, how do you drive in this place? You know, my response was, yeah, it wasn't, yeah, you know, it's just so much disorder, you know, it's just terrible. I said to her,
It's a vibe.
welcome,
This is a vibe.
welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
welcome.
Yeah.
This is how we do things. And yes, it's not safe. I get it. But
Sure.
instead of being quick to shoot down what's happening in my city, I'll celebrate my city and then evaluate and say, what can we change? You know, how do we change this? Yeah.
Because you're not saying we're going to ignore the things that are challenging. Because I think that's also, you know, it's you're not saying that. Because I think there's a generation that can be like, well, we're just going to ignore it. We're saying, look at it, identify with it, keep it light, but we're going to keep moving forward and not letting that affect the way we show up.
We'll fix it. Let's fix it. Let's fix it going forward. Yeah. Again, the analogy of your best friend. Your best friend does something that irritates you. Yeah. You're going to mention it at some point in time. In other words, you're going to address it at the right time. There's a lot of things to fix in any city. There's a lot of things that we need to fix in Bulawayo. The time will come.
And it doesn't take away the connection.
No.
That's good.
The time will come.
Kind of shifting gears from the last piece of this, when you hear about different young leaders now starting to come together from different churches, different backgrounds, different, you know, businesses, different schools coming together to say, hey, let's start to tell a new story over this city. Let's find those things that are working and let's bring them to the light. Let's intentionally shape the hope in our conversations. What does that do for you?
It gives me hope. It means that it is possible. It means that, going back to the late Vice President, Joshua Mtabugo Nkomo, I mean, he spoke of unity, you know, and his statue is there in the city to remind us of the unity that he wanted, that we all wanted. Often the challenge is, how do we do it? How do I, as one person, throw myself as a stone into that? Am I going to be heard? So the fact that we're starting this conversation, the fact that you've come down and you've lit a fire, I think the most important thing is that everybody has a voice now, and we can't miss this opportunity. We can't. It'll be generations before it might happen again. And so, you know, for the sake of us that are alive, for us that have seen the city struggle, have pockets of hope every now and then, let's start connecting the dots. Let this be the last dot in that. What do they call them? Those like dot puzzles? What do they call them?
Dot to dot.
Is it dot to dot? But you know what I'm talking about, where you connect the dots.
I think it's dot to dot.
Yeah. Let this be the last dot. And let's start actually connecting everything and drawing the picture of hope. And it means that after this, there's still work to be done. And that work is about continuing the same story of hope. The narrative of the city, that we are united, we are Bulawayo. We are a city of kings and queens. We don't put our heads down. We lift them up. We've got a pride in us. We're not proud, right? We're not, you know, people filled with bad pride, but we have pride in who we are as a city because of where we come from. So that's what's needed, Tommy. That's the next thing. Let this be the last dot.
If you could change the name of the city to something, what would you change it to?
You're putting me on the spot. My controversial statement. Right. When you go to Sunday school, you don't get told how much of an action figure Jesus actually was. For you to understand what it was like to go into the temple and throw tables, to confront religious leaders. It's just on a different level.
Walk on water.
Absolutely. To walk up to economic leaders and say, put your nets down, follow me, I will make you fishers of men. Looking them straight in the eye, and they followed. I believe every negative thing in the name of the city, look it straight in the eye. And maybe we call the city Mpilo. Life. A place of life. A place where people, when you're downtrodden, one day, one weekend, just being around people that randomly greet you, that smile. There's an energy about this place. You come to Bulawayo just for one day, and you're different.
It's powerful. I think any person in any generation could get behind that. Maybe not just the name, but what you're describing. Arthur, I count it a privilege to hear your story, and I think your story arc of dreams, the grass is greener on the other side, leaving a place as part of your sort of core drive, and then being in a place where you're broken and you're wrestling and saying, why am I here? This is not how I planned it. And then to come out to a place where it's like you're identified, you're strong, you're contributing, and you're not looking back. I think that's a story for so many young people in this city and in this region, and I think in this nation. So thank you for sharing so openly, and thanks for holding it started.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Appreciate you too.
If you were to say one last thing,
Yes,
to a person that may feel like you felt, kind of in the depths, like maybe there's broken dreams, because I think there's a lot of dreamers out there feel like they're carrying broken pieces of it. What would you say to that person who's hasn't yet seen those pieces come back together, but they're still in that place?
I'm going to look at the camera for this one. Your broken pieces are okay. Don't throw them away. Keep them. And bring them to God, because you cannot put them together by yourself. Trust me, I have tried and I have failed. So I know. And if you're in that space where you're trying to put pieces back together by yourself, stop it. Take them to the person that made the whole unit. Take everything back to God, and you will come right. It may not take a day, it may take a year, but I guarantee you, start the process. You're going to make it. I promise you. I promise you.